Good morning, it's Monday, the 23rd of December. You're tuned in to our 10 a.m. newscast here at ARIRANG's news centre in Seoul. Let's take a look at what's making the headlines. Police raid the headquarters of the country's major trade union, but failed to arrest railway union leaders accused of carrying out an illegal strike now into its 15th day. The militant union Umbrella Group has called an all-out strike from Saturday. The ruling party strongly protests opposition leaders' introduction of a bill to launch an investigation separate from that of the prosecutions into government agencies' alleged meddling in last year's presidential election. Plus, tens of thousands of anti-government protesters returned to the streets of Bangkok, demanding the Prime Minister immediately step down. The country's main opposition party says it will boycott elections set for February. Let's start with the rail strike that enters its third week on this Monday as the standoff between the rail union and the government heats up. Matters took a serious turn for the worse on Sunday after a dramatic 12-hour-long clash between railway union workers and hundreds of riot police in downtown Seoul. Kim Hyun-bin reports.
We will carry out the arrest warrants for the rail union leaders.
The rail strike intensified Sunday as striking rail workers clashed with riot police trying to enter a building in downtown Seoul, which houses the main office of the Korean Confederation of Trade Unions, a militant union umbrella group. Hundreds of riot police surrounded the building and sprayed pepper spray, but union members created a human blockade, locked doors with chains, and used fire hoses to push back police as they tried to enter the premises. Denouncing the police's actions, the KCTU announced that its members will launch a strike from this coming Saturday, December 28. The government continues to demand the striking rail workers return to work.
It has come to a point where the government cannot tolerate this any longer, as the prolonged illegal strike is inconveniencing the public and affecting the national economy.
Over 130 union workers were taken into custody, but the union leaders they were really after were able to get away. The main opposition Democratic Party denounced the police actions. The party called for a peaceful settlement to the strike, while rebuking the Park administration and the ruling Saenuri Party for the raid. As the railway strike rumbles into its third week, rail operations around the country remain severely impacted. Korea's bullet train KTX services are running at just 70% of normal levels. Even subway services in Seoul will be reduced to 85% of normal levels from Monday. Industries feeling the pinch worse than the public, however, with cargo train services running at just a third of normal levels. The strike started after the state-run rail operator KoreaChina decided to create a subsidiary for a new KTX service, a move union members say is the first step toward privatization. Kim Hyun-bin, ARIRANG News.
An opposition alliance plans to propose a bill later on this Monday that calls for a special probe into allegations that state institutions meddled in last year's presidential election. Kim Yeon-ji reports.
The main opposition Democratic Party, the minor opposition Justice Party, and independent lawmaker An Cheol-soo came together Sunday to explain what their joint bill is about. The bill calls for a special separate investigation into allegations that state agencies interfered in last year's presidential election. It targets the Defense Ministry, the Ministry of Patriots and Veterans Affairs, the Ministry of Security and Public Administration, and the Unification Ministry, in addition to the spy agency, whose former director is standing trial for allegedly ordering agents to post online messages to sway public opinion in favor of then-ruling party candidate and now President Park Geun-hye. In addition, the bill says civilians who are believed to have taken part in illegal activities should also be subject to a special probe. Further, the bill says the probe should target the presidential office, the spy agency, the prosecution, and the police for allegedly making attempts to downsize and conceal the results of earlier investigations and tamper with them. As for who should lead the special probe, the bill says a parliamentary committee should recommend 2 candidates and one be selected afterward. Saying President Park benefited the most from the electioneering scandal, Democratic Party leader Kim Han-gil stressed that a special independent investigation was necessary.
I repeat once again that if the Park administration and the ruling Saenuri Party do not accept our proposal, they will face an even stronger resistance from the public.
The ruling Saenuri Party strongly condemned the opposition's move.
To say that the prosecution's probe is poor and demand a separate investigation now is an attempt by the opposition to carry this issue into next year's local elections in June and use it to their advantage.
It remains unclear whether the joint bill will lead to the appointment of a special investigator, as launching a probe requires a majority of lawmakers to be in attendance in the plenary session, and a majority of those voting for it. The ruling Saenuri Party holds 155 seats in the 300-member parliament. Kim Hyun-ji, ARIRANG News.
Korea and China will hold their first foreign affairs and security dialogue in Beijing on this Monday. Senior officials from the two nations' foreign and defense ministries will take part in the meeting to discuss regional and global security issues, as well as ways to further cooperate in these fields. In particular, they are expected to focus on the security situation on the Korean peninsula after the execution of the North Korean leader's uncle Jang Song-taek, and the escalating tensions in Northeast Asia after China's recent establishment of a new air defense identification zone. The meeting follows the agreement reached by Presidents Park Geun-hye and Xi Jinping during their summit talks in June to strengthen the two countries' security dialogue channel. Former NBA star Dennis Rodman will probably have to head home from his latest visit to North Korea without meeting with the country's young leader and his close friend Kim Jong-un. Speaking as he prepared to leave Pyongyang, Rodman told the Associated Press on Sunday that he had not yet met with Kim, but stressed that he didn't expect to see Kim every time he travels to North Korea. He added his current trip was for training North Korean basketball players who will take part in a match Rodman is organising for Kim's birthday on January 8th. In another sign that the South Korean economy is on the road to recovery, Korea's labour productivity index rose by nearly 3% in the third quarter of this year from a year earlier to 98.1. The index indicates the amount of goods or services a worker produces in a given amount of time. Analysts attribute the increase to a 1% jump in the nation's industrial output, thanks to growing consumption and investment in the construction sector, while labour hours have dropped by around 2%. The labour productivity index of the manufacturing sector increased by 1% during this period, while that of the service sector surged by almost 4%. The total debt of Korea's 9 major state-owned companies has surged by 18 trillion won, or nearly $17 billion over the first 6 months of this year. The 9 enterprises include Korea Land and Housing Corporation and Korea Electric Power Corporation. Data released by the state-run management information provider of public agencies, ALIO, says the increase in the 6-month period is over 70% of the total growth in debt in the year 2012. Analysts say it's highly likely the debt level of these 9 companies in 2013 will exceed that of last year, despite government efforts to rein in public debt. Deputy Prime Minister Hyun Oh-suk is expected to convene a workshop on Tuesday with CEOs of 38 public agencies to discuss ways to normalise their lax management. One of the country's largest conglomerates, Hyundai Group, says it plans to sell all of its financial units, including Hyundai Securities. The group says by doing so, it will raise as much as 1 trillion won, or $940 million, in cash to boost liquidity. In an emailed statement, Hyundai Group said although it has enough funds to last until the first half of next year, it has decided to take preemptive measures to ease investors' concerns. The email goes on to say the group plans to continue restructuring next year and will focus on shipping and manufacturing as well as its inter-Korean business projects in the future. Tens of thousands of anti-government protesters in Thailand staged a rally Sunday in their latest attempt to force Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra to resign and put a halt to national elections in February. Son Jung-in reports.
Protesters massed peacefully at several sites across Bangkok Sunday evening as part of ongoing rallies to topple Prime Minister Yingluck Shinawatra and disrupt electoral candidate registrations. Blowing whistles, a symbol of the weeks-long protests, the crowd waved Thai flags and chanted, "Yingluck, get out." Demonstrators want to oust Yingluck and the influence of her brother Thaksin, who protesters accuse of corruption and abuse of power. Protest leader and former opposition lawmaker Sutab Taksuban urged protesters to blockade the city's democracy monument to stop candidates from signing up for the election when registration opens on Monday.
We're going to sleep at the registration venues from tonight, and wherever they're going to relocate the registration venues, we will follow to show our power of disapproval everywhere.
He told supporters that forcing Yingluck from office is necessary to purge corruption and money politics, demanding political reforms before any new election. Earlier in the weekend, Yingluck formally proposed a plan for making political reforms, which includes having candidates take an oath to support the creation of a reform council and having the council's representatives come from all walks of life at local and national levels. Son Jung-in, ARIRANG News.
The Japanese government has decided to extend the radiation cleanup surrounding the Fukushima nuclear power plant by up to 3 years. Japanese media reports that the country's Environment Ministry will soon announce a new decontamination schedule, which was previously planned to be completed by the end of next March. Out of a total 11 areas subject to the cleanup, only one city, Tamura, has seen completed work. Quoting plant operator TEPCO, reports also say nearly 3 times the legal amount of radioactive strontium-90 was found some 25 meters below ground of reactor number 4, suggesting contaminated water may have seeped deeper underground than previously thought. Russian former oil tycoon Mikhail Khodorkovsky has vowed to stay out of Russian politics and will only return home if certain he can leave again after being whisked to Germany following 10 years in jail for fraud and tax evasion. Russia's former richest man has been reunited with his family in Berlin after being pardoned by President Vladimir Putin. Holding a press conference Sunday, Khodorkovsky said he would make great efforts to ensure there are no political prisoners left in Russia. He also insisted his conviction was politically motivated as he used to finance opposition groups in Russia. Watchers say the pardon was part of the Kremlin's effort to mute criticism of its dismal rights records ahead of the Sochi Winter Olympic Games in February. Rebels have taken over the capital of the oil-producing region in South Sudan, adding to fears that the country's newest country could be sliding towards civil war. South Sudan's government said Sunday that rebels loyal to former Vice President Riek Machar have seized Bentiu, the capital of Unity State. The United States began evacuating U.S. citizens from the rebel-controlled town of Bor to the capital city Juba over the weekend. And foreigners from other countries have also been flown to the capital on UN and US civilian helicopters. On Saturday, 3 US military aircraft were attacked by small arms fire from the ground as they were trying to approach the town of Bor, wounding 4 US service members. South Sudan's President Salva Kiir says an attempted coup by forces loyal to Machar triggered ethnic clashes last week that killed hundreds of people. Back here in Korea, and a part of a southern coastal island that has been abandoned years ago after its resources have been exhausted has been reborn as the nation's largest solar power plant complex. Kim Min-ji reports.
This is what was left of a rocky mountain in Gugum Island in Jeollanam-do province after being excavated for more than 30 years. Debris from the quarrying was spread all over the area, making the place unsightly and dangerous. But a 600,000 square meter energy park was recently established on the island, giving the once neglected area a new lease on life. The 25-megawatt Kogum Energy Theme Park is the biggest in Korea, with 105,000 modules, 100 inverters, and 10 transformers. The construction fee of roughly $65 million was covered by local private funds. Kogum Island was selected for a reason. The area gets more than 4.3 hours of sunlight per day on average.
The island was an ideal place to set up a solar power plant. It has the longest sunshine period, and as we know, with no major changes of the weather.
A healing stone park is being built inside with the money made from selling the remaining stones from the quarry, plus support funds received by the government for using discarded stones.
We plan to promote this project systematically so the district can become a mecca for the renewable energy industry.
More hybrid power generation programs are expected to be promoted on the island. The strong winds on the island also open the window for a possible wind power plant down the line. Kim Min-ji, ARIRANG News.
Korea had been in the grips of a serious cold snap until a couple of days ago, with mercury levels well below freezing. But the frigid temperatures didn't stop Koreans from embracing the special sights, sounds and savoury tastes that the winter season has to offer. Paul Lee shows us more.
Here high up in the snowy mountain pass of Taegwalyeong in the eastern province of Gangwon-do lies a sea of fish basking in the frigid open air. It's here that the local specialty food called hwangtae, or dried yellow pollock, is made, with the assistance of the freezing temperatures and piercing winds.
If it is not cold enough, the meat will not freeze. That's why we're working so hard to quickly freeze the fish in these cold conditions.
The tasty fish, however, will take some time to prepare after being frozen and thawed repeatedly on these drying racks over the next 4 months. Those looking to escape to a winter wonderland can travel west to Hwacheong County, where a breathtaking ice amusement park has been built inside a cave. Visitors of all ages are able to enjoy the colorful bright lights that decorate the various famous landmarks sculpted out of blocks of ice.
It's a little cold, but there's so many fun things for the children to experience and for the family to have a great time. We hope to come back during the Trout Festival.
Meanwhile, in the central city of Daegu, a shooting range provides a heart-thumping opportunity to ring in the holiday season with a bang.
I came here with my friends to go shooting after attending a wedding. Getting rid of some stress feels good, and it's even more fun when there's a friendly wager.
Whether it's freeze-drying golden fish or squeezing off some rounds, the crisp, cool air offers many reasons to get out and enjoy winter. Paul Yi, ARIRANG News.
And a good Monday morning to you all as we kick things off in the major leagues. Now, after all the waiting and all the talking, Chu Shin-soo has finally decided on choosing the Texas Rangers. Now, over the weekend, the 31-year-old slugger deciding on signing with the American League's Texas Rangers on a 7-year deal that will pay him $130 million. Now, the deal has no options and a limited no-trade clause. While the $130 million deal seems less than what the New York Yankees offered with the 7-year $140 million deal, Texas does not have a state tax, while New York has a state tax of 8%. And if you calculate it all, he's technically making more than Jacoby Ellsbury, who signed for 7 years and $153 million with the Yankees. And here's another athlete who cashed in big this season, Park In-bi. And while it's nowhere near the $130 million, she did make a little less than $2.5 million, which is great in a single season in the LPGA. So it's no surprise that she's being mentioned left and right in the LPGA's top news of 2013. The LPGA counting down their top 13 news of 2013, Park In-bi has been mentioned often as the list is now on number 10. The 25-year-old who won 3 straight LPGA Majors titles to start off the season had one of the best seasons any golfer has had and brought attention to the LPGA once again as she hopes to continue her success going into 2014. And moving on to the KBL, where the All-Star game took place over the weekend. And before the game tipped off, Lee Seung-jun of Dongbu won his 4th dunk contest, with SK's Byung Gi-hoon winning his first 3-point contest. So with that said, let's take a look at the Dream Team take on the Magic Team. Now a tight game all around as the Magic Team take a slim 34-33 lead before going into halftime with a 59-58 lead. But the third quarter of the game, Magic Team and Seoul Samsung Thunder's big man Michael Dunnigan puts up 12 points in the quarter as the Magic Team outscored them 43-30 in the third. The Dream Team rallies back in the fourth quarter of the game, but falls short as the Magic Team take this game 119-115, with SK's Kim Sun-young winning this year's MVP after posting up 12 points, 8 rebounds, and 8 assists. And now moving on to some Sunday's VLeague action as the IBK Altos beat GS Caltex 3-0 over on the women's side. Meanwhile, an exciting game over on the men's side as Samsung Hwaja Blue Fangs took on Russian Cash Vespid. Now Samsung beating Samsung in the first set as they dominate Russian Cash 25-21. But all of a sudden, their offense goes Harry Houdini as the Vespid dominate the Blue Fangs in the next 2 sets, 25-14 and 25-17. Just one win away from a huge upset here, but Leo Martinez comes alive in the 4th set. Samsung Hwaja takes the 4th set 25-21. And thanks to his 36 attack points in the game, the Blue Fangs rally back to take the 5th set 15-13 and a 3-2 victory. And now finishing things off with the 2013 Winter Universiade in Trentino. Now, of course, with the Winter Olympics right around the corner, Korea is now pretty confident that their young athletes will do well. With the Winter Universiade coming to an end over the weekend, the Koreans finished with a total of 8 gold medals, 9 silver, and 7 bronze, which is good for 3rd overall in the medals ranking. Now, most of the medals did come from the short track and speed skating event, where Korea has been dominating. Now, the 3rd place finish only trails Russia and Poland. Well, that's going to wrap it up for me. This has been SJ. Have a great rest of the day, and see you guys again for your sports needs.
And time now to check in on the weather conditions in Korea and around the world. And that's all for now. Have a fabulous rest of the day, and we do hope to see you back again for our next newscast, which is coming up at noon Korea time.